Would a global flood event mean the water is sea water, ocean, or fresh? And if salt water, and if it is salt water, wouldn't that stop plants from growing? Because we know that's what salt water does to plants.
I assume he's restricting that to the oceans. Talking about it's not talking about rainwater being salt water. I don't guess.
No, I think he's on about so the fountains of the deep and things like that. Was that salt water, and how would that sort of affect like plants and seas and that sort of thing?
Yes.
Because salt water affects plants in a bad way.
Yes. So yes, I do think when he broke open the fountains of the deep, it was pumping mineral-rich, hot water thermal vents into the waters. Now, were the seas before salt water? I think they were much lower. They were not like they are today. The oceans are increasing in salt with time. And if the Earth was billions of years old as they proposed, there would be no life. It would all be like the Dead Sea. Again, the salt content of the oceans and the rate at which salt is entering the oceans is good evidence that the Earth is young.
There are some plants that can grow in salt waters. There are huge seagrass meadows. Now, these are plants like land plants. The evolutionary story is that the plants moved onto land and these ones didn't like it, so they moved back into the sea. But these are particularly lush and important ecosystems, actually, seagrass meadows. And we also need to remember that the point that Craig made about saltwater and freshwater not immediately mixing, because one of the questions we have in our Ask site, on our question and answer site, was what happened to the fish that live in the sea if the rain that came in the flood was freshwater. How did the freshwater and the saltwater fish survive? And we have an answer to that if you'd like to look it up. But basically, some fish these days, even now, can be quite adaptable to changes in the salt content. There is a limit to that, of course. That's another example of adaptation being a built-in process. These days, there are some fish that can only live in one or the other environment. That's actually a degeneration. That's a loss of a function, which is another thing that happened after the flood. Because as part of the degeneration of the world in general, the mutation rate and the stress and disease rate would have gone up, which is another whole area we could go into, and maybe we will.